Hi, I'm Vinny Sansalone, and today I'm going to be talking about physical inactivity in schools, and I'm focusing this primarily on elementary school students in the K through 5 range. So the first thing I want to talk about is some negative health effects and why kids nowadays don't want to be as active. Today, kids would rather play video games, watch TV, or play on the computer instead of actually going outside and playing in the neighborhood, playing a bunch of games that they could just run around and have fun. And by doing all these activities that just involve sitting, they're not being active whatsoever. And when they do play video games or watch TV and play on the computer, they have an increased risk to snack on high-calorie, high-fat foods, which we've all done that before. We've all sat down and taken a whole bag of potato chips and eaten it in 10 minutes, watching a movie or something, or eating a bucket of popcorn at the movie theaters going, I probably shouldn't have eaten 2 buckets of popcorn, which I've done before. And also, nowadays, young people who aren't physically fit have less energy. So kids in the K through 5 range, they shouldn't have no energy. They should be the most energetic people we know, because usually, at least some of the kids I see, they're the most hyped up kids you'll ever meet, and it's hard to just calm them down and make them take a nap. One other thing is sports or physical activities are not usually enjoyable to kids who are out of shape, because out of shape kids, they would just rather not do anything whatsoever than go to PE class and start running around, having fun, being active. They'd rather just sit down and not do anything, which is something we need to change. Some other negative health effects are social media, and social and digital media may impact a young person's health and well-being because it can contribute to physical inactivity and cause desensitization. And this slide, I'm focusing it more on the middle school area, because this is where most of us kind of got introduced to social media. There's some kids nowadays who are like 7 or 8 that have Twitter and Facebook already, and most of us didn't even have anything like that until we were like 11 or 12. So this kind of comes into play here. From using all these sites, it causes desensitization, and that's basically where, the best way I can explain this is like a kid who watches a TV show like NCIS that involves a bunch of murder and stuff. They tend to think like those murders are common and they happen every day, which they do, but they don't really pay much attention or care that much, as they should. Like when someone in their city or whatever gets murdered by someone gets shot or something like that, they just go, oh, that happened, I can move on. When they should be kind of shocked that that's actually happening where they live. Also, from using all these sites, no matter what you're on, kids are going to have an increased exposure to portrayals of drugs, sex, or violence. So it doesn't really matter what you're on at all. It's going to pop up eventually. Another reason that social and digital media affects people's health is because they have the failure to shut down or turn off their electronics, which all of us do, because most of us here, what's the first thing we do when we get up? Is check our phones. It's the last thing we do before we go to bed, check our phones. And a lot of people, this is kind of hard to actually do, because a lot of people would rather watch Netflix on their phone until they fall asleep. And this could lead to like hours on end of no sleep, which isn't healthy for you at all. You should get as much sleep as possible. Okay, and I want to focus on how recess should be required in schools, and it's still needed in elementary schools. And research proves that students do better and learn faster when efforts are distributed. According to Dr. Olga Jarrett and her colleagues at Georgia State University's Department of Early Childhood Education, they approached an urban school and received permission to observe 2 4th grade classes of 43 students. This way they could compare the students' behaviors on recess days versus non-recess days. And from what they determined from that is students are more productive when permitted to release energy during a break in a class time. Also, what this is saying is just as long as they come into school, focus on schoolwork for a little bit, take a break, go back to schoolwork, they're going to be more focused and they won't be as wound up as they usually are when they don't have recess. And some other results were 60% of the students worked more and fidgeted less on recess days, and this included 5 students with attention deficit disorder. And then recess, it allows kids to engage in behaviors that are not necessarily allowed indoors or inside. Kids are allowed to engage in behaviors that are loud, messy, boisterous, so kids on the playground can just kick and scream and do whatever they want outside, just having fun, not really caring what they're doing as long as they're not like physically hurting people. And then, since recess is a break from structure and expectations, kids actually have an opportunity to take control of their own lives, which is a rarity, because kids who are in the K through 5 grade levels, they're not really doing anything on their own. They're kind of just always told what to do and they follow what they're told. So at home, the parents always tell them what to do. They usually follow it regardless. In most situations, that's not always the case. And then at school, they kind of transfer that over. They learn that, oh, the teacher's in charge. I should probably pay attention to them and just do whatever they say. And that's usually what happens. So it's a good thing to have recess so they can have control of their own world. Okay, and some positive health effects from having recess is that having kids going out in the sunlight allows the synthesis of vitamin D, and the studies have shown that this increases learning and productivity. And also, according to the National Association for the Education of Young Children, it recommends unstructured physical play as a developmentally appropriate means of reducing stress. So, in other words, as long as you go out and have fun and play recess, these kids are going to have less stress than whatever else has already affected their lives. It's just a way to good stress reliever. Also, recess provides valuable benefit because stress can have a huge impact on their health and learning. And for many children, especially hyperactive children, recess is a chance to expend their energy in a healthy, suitable manner. Like I said before, they can run around, kick, scream, do whatever they want, just have a lot of fun. Some other positive health effects are the natural light improves wellness, and the sunlight also stimulates the pineal gland, which is a part of the brain that helps regulate our biological clock. And it's vital to our immune system, and it overall just makes us feel better. Okay. One thing I wanted to focus on is why punishing kids with no recess is a bad thing. Usually it's the same kids that are having their recess taken away. And we don't want this because they're kind of catching on to the pattern that if they get in trouble, they're going to pretty much do whatever they can to get out of recess. And this is not what we want because these are probably the kids we need to be more physically active. And also, research by Eric Jensen tells us that remaining seated for more than 10 minutes reduces our awareness of physical and emotional sensations and increases fatigue. It reduces concentration and discipline problems, and demanding children to move less is counterproductive. So, like I said, they're catching on to the pattern that as long as they do whatever they want, whatever's wrong in the teacher's mind, they're going to get out of recess. And I know in my PE classes in middle school era, there was a few kids who would always do this. They would always dress in sweatshirt and pants so they wouldn't have to participate because they weren't in athletic clothes. So they would always get out of that no matter what we were doing. It didn't matter at all. Also, according to the American Academy of Pediatrics, recess develops social skills, and this may be the only time during the day when children have a chance to experience social skills, socialization, and real communication skills, such as negotiation, cooperation, sharing, and problem solving. So basically just learning how to talk to all their friends the same age and that sort of thing, and getting to know everyone a little bit more. And one other thing is kids don't actually go out and play in neighborhoods as much, so once the school day is over, there is not really a lot of chances for unstructured social development. So a lot of kids maybe live in apartments or that sort of thing now because maybe their apartment building is unsafe and there's no parks or playgrounds next to them where they can go out and just exercise. And some programs I found that actually help with promoting physical activity in recess is the NFL Play 60. They're doing a really good job of this, of having a lot of commercials and stuff, and all these NFL players helping out to promote exercise, be active at least 60 minutes a day. And also another one was Michelle Obama's Let's Move campaign. She's done a really good job of that, at promoting that and how all kids should be as physically active as possible. Thank you.